So I wanted to give this Langchain Chat Your Data Challenge a try, and this is what I came up with so far. I am building it with Streamlit. It allows you to upload a document. I'm going to upload poll.text, which is a Polygram's blog post, just like that. After the upload, then the vectorization begins, the embedding begins with files. After the vectorization is done, which takes a few seconds, then you can start chatting with it. It's in a chat format. And we can ask, example, who is the author? Response, author of this document is Paul Graham. Let's ask, who is he? Robert Morris, the graduate student at Harvard who offered advice to the speaker. Let's ask, who's Paul? Paul Graham is an entrepreneur, programmer, investor, essayist, so he's one of the founders of Y Combinator. What does he talk about in the essay? Let's ask. So essay talks about how the author started writing essays online. So this is pretty cool. It works. It reads the document. It finds relevant bits according to the question we're asking, and then gets a response from GPT-3 based on those relevant parts of the essay. Let's take a look at what I got so far and how it's working. Langchain kindly posted Chat Your Data repository, which you can copy and use as a stepping stone. I'll put all these links in the description. I've also used from Langchain the Langchain Streamlit template. It was really helpful to have that. Streamlit is a really fast way to build apps with Python. I have this installed. I also have pip install Streamlit and pip Streamlit-chat because the Streamlit template is based on a chat format, which then requires the Streamlit-chat. I have downloaded the Polygram's essay from GPT indexes examples under Polygram essay. I just renamed it to poll.text. We're going to be looking at three files which makes this work: main.py, ingest data, and query data. In the main.py, we are doing our imports, and we are importing templates, prompts, and the getChain function from query data. Let's take a look at those here. So here we have two prompts and a function. The QA prompt is how we start with, which is made out of this template, which has an instruction set, and then it inputs the question. And then the context, which is drawn from the essay's embedding, which we do a search for, and then it gives an answer. After that, there's a second condensed question prompt, which is made out of this template, which then keeps track of the conversation, and then it tries to do a follow-up question style, which includes the chat history, the question, which it sees as a follow-up input, and then the standalone question, because it wants it to rephrase the follow-up question to be a standalone question. And then with the getChain, we input the vector store, which we will be turning into a pickle file. We're going to talk about this soon. And then we define the LLM, which is OpenAI's GPT-3, DaVinci 003. And then we define a chain with the LLM. Vector store is the database, the QA prompt, and after that, the condensed question prompt. So this will run one after the other. And then we are just simply returning the chain. To better understand what's going on here, I would highly recommend reading the tutorial that Langchain has posted on their blog. I will put the link in the description. ChatGPT over your data. It's really informative and really will make everything that we're talking about clearer. So let's go back to the main.py file. We have imported our templates and the function. This was default here in the template that I downloaded from Langchain's repository. I just commented this out. And then here is the header and the page config for Streamlit. We are importing the Streamlit and the Streamlit chat right here. After that, we have a file uploader. Uploaded file equals to st.fileuploader. So this is just the file uploading element in the UI. And here we are checking the user indeed has uploaded a file, and that file name doesn't exist in the data folder, which is right here. After that, we write that file, and then we open it, and then with the st spinner, which is the Streamlit object, we call the embed_doc, which we are importing from the ingest data. Let's take a look at that. In ingest_data, we're defining a function embed_doc, which takes a look at the data folder and makes sure that it has actually a file, because then the length of it will be more than 0. Then has the directory loader from Langchain document loaders, and then it actually scans the entire folder and then grabs all the files. You can actually specify a file name here if you want, such as MD or TXT. I just left it as everything. Then we load the document with the loader. And then I'm just printing the length of the documents, how many we have. In this case, it will only be one. Then we are using the recursive character text splitter from Langchain text splitter with 1000 chunk size, no overlap. And then I'm just printing these just for debugging purposes. And then we split the document right here. After that, we define our embeddings, which are going to be OpenAI embeddings from Ada002. And then we are using FICE, which we are importing here from Langchain to vectorize and embed the documents, which we have scanned from the folder. And then we are storing into a variable called vector store. After that, we are simply saving it to a pickle file called vectorstore.pkl, this one right here. And then if we check to see if this file exists, if it exists right here, then we open it and then we load the pickle file so that we don't re-edit. So that's it for the ingest underscore data. We just grab in this function, and at this line we are calling it if the user has uploaded a file and if that file name does not exist already in the data folder, because if it does, we already have made an embedding of it. And then we check to see vector store pickle file exists in our working directory right here, and if it does, we simply open it just like this. And then we define our chain with the function we have imported, get underscore chain, which we have imported from the query underscore data file. These following lines of code already came in with the Streamlit template, which I mentioned from the Langchain's repository. So if generated not in session state, so if the session state, Streamlit session state doesn't contain generated, then it creates it and assigns an empty list. These will be the generations which are returned from GPT-3. And the past, same, we check if it exists in session state. If not, we initialize it. These are user inputs, the questions that the user inputs. So user inputs, and this is the AI responses. Then we define a placeholder. And with that placeholder in the function getText, we define the input text to be placeholder.text input. This is from Streamlit, and then it says U, and the value is empty with the key input. This is so that Streamlit can keep track of the session state. And then we return the input text, and here we are calling this function to get the user input. This is the question that the user inputs, and then we're just simply printing it to see. And then we check to see if the user has inputted anything in the Streamlit user interface. Then we get the user input, and then we do a similarity search over the vector store, which we have loaded from the vectorstore.pkl. After that, we assign it to a variable named docs. We're just simply printing the length of it. This could be, I believe, numerous lengths, 4, 5, or more. Then we are defining our chain with the chain.run, assigning it to output. We assign the input to user input, our vector store to vector store, context to be the first two documents of the docs, which are returned from the similarity search. We assign a chat history. We initialize it with an empty list. Question is the user input. QA prompt is the QA prompt, which we have imported. Same with condensed question and the template, which we have imported from query underscore data. I would highly recommend also reading the tutorial in Langchain blog. It will give you a better understanding. After that, we are appending to the session state from Streamlit to pass the user input. And then I'm just simply printing it to see. And then to generate it, we are actually appending the output to those lists. Remember, this output we attain from running the chain. Simply after that, we check to see if session state generated exists, if there is anything that has been returned. If so, then we run a for loop for the length of the generated list. We go backwards, and then we print the generated, and we print the past. Generated is the GPT-3 output, and past is the user input. So this is it. So let's restart this, run it side by side to see what's happening. If I were to refresh it, it's not running currently. And let me delete the poll.txt and the vector store so we can re-upload it. To run the Streamlit, we need to start a command prompt from this arrow right here. After that, we type in Streamlit run main.py, just like that. and it will start our app locally, of course, and it gives you a URL. You can control click it. It auto starts it anyway because we had it open. So here, this is our file uploader, and this is the beginning of our chat. Let's re-upload the file. Here I will simply drag poll.text over here. Pay attention to what happens at data. Just as soon as we drop it, the test, oh, I accidentally dropped the wrong document. Sorry, let's try this again. Poll.text, and poll.text appears here. And this takes about 10 seconds or so. After that, the vector store PKL will appear. It says file is uploaded successfully. The vector store pickle embeddings has been created. And then after that, we can start chatting with it. You can just say hi. Oh, I am making a lot of mistakes. It is prompted to not answer any questions which it thinks doesn't know. I'm just going to ask who is Paul. It's Paul Graham is an entrepreneur, programmer, and investor. And you can keep asking questions and they talk with this document. It's really wonderful. I'll put a link to this blog post as well if you'd like to read it. It's really interesting. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll put these 3 files for my Patreon supporters in Patreon, the files that are necessary. I'll actually upload the poll.text file as well if you just want to use it. And please join our Discord. I'll put the link in the description. I hope you enjoyed this. This is the first part. I'm going to hopefully improve on this. So hopefully see you in the next video. Take care.